Right, now listen, we'd like to have a little chat about your Liverpool career. Your former teammate Jermaine Pennant spoke to talkSPORT last month and said that it was the Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard who actually ran the dressing room and not Rafa Benitez. Have a listen.
You've got people like Steven Gerrard who runs the changing room. He would give the team talk, not Rafa. Rafa will give out the team sheet, and then it will be Steven Gerrard who will be telling you what needs to be done. Rafa Benitez, he was probably the worst manager that I played under. Didn't give no explanation why you're not playing. Didn't give you an explanation when you're playing well. Didn't say when you're playing bad. There was nothing. It was just you wasn't in the squad or you wasn't starting.
I have to say that when I first heard that, I was quite surprised and stunned. What did you make of that? Is that true about Steven Gerrard running the dressing room?
Well, I think every player has different opinions, but everyone knows how important Stevie was in the dressing room. Personally, for me, he was a vital person once I arrived at Liverpool, and definitely he was, one of the leaders of the team. So, of course, in the dressing room, he was the boss. And one thing, what was common about him, Stevie wasn't talking too much, but when he was talking, he was saying the right things. And my opinion about Rafa is completely different than Jermaine, but that has also something to do, I think, with Jermaine's his experience that he wasn't playing as much as he wanted to. And for me, Rafa was a very important person, and I can explain something about that in my first season. After my first season, I was doing really well, but my father passed away straight after the last Champions League final. And the person who was there for me was Rafa. I probably played my worst part at Liverpool. Rafa said to me, I will take you out for a while. You will be not in the team. You will be not even in the squad. But once you're ready, I will put you back on the pitch. And he was a big help for me at that time. So it's sometimes surprising also in football that players can have a completely different experience about managers. But what we agree, me and Jermaine, and we had a great times. We were roomies most of the time, and also we were roomies at the Champions League the day before the Champions League final. Is that we both have a great respect for Steven Gerrard, because he was, not only for me the best player I ever played with, but also such a great captain who was not talking too much. Every word he said in the dressing room was right.
You speak about Steven Gerrard there, and you just said it there about him being the best player you ever played with. But even as a captain and as a leader, I mean, what separates him from the best? What separates him from the rest?
Well, for me, it was like, you both know Jermaine Bellamy, and for me, when someone has real respect is when people like Jermaine or Bellis, don't say anything in the dressing room. There was once that Greg Bellamy was really disappointed in the dressing room. He was shouting about everything. He was shouting at me. I think he was shouting even at the gaffer because he was really disappointed. And Stevie started to speak with him, and he straight away respected, and he, stopped speaking. And that says everything about leaders in the dressing room, because Steven had the respect of everyone, every single player. There was nobody who didn't respect him, and that makes you, for me, a true captain.
Before I let you go, I want to get your view on the Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag. Reports today, I don't know if you've seen this, reports today suggest that he's had a falling out with another player, this time Rafa Varane. What do you make of that?
Well, I think Erik is trying to build like a proper team who can compete with the big teams. And the big teams on the moment in the Premier League are Liverpool and Manchester City. And obviously, Manchester United, they have not been there for a long time. So he's working really hard to get things done. And sometimes you got situations like this. But for me, Erik ten Hag is a great manager, and to get things done, sometimes you have to do to make unpopular decisions, and that's what he's probably doing at the moment. And from what I'm knowing him, because he was at Ajax, not at Feyenoord, so I'm not knowing him too well how he is as a manager. But he will do everything to make it work, and even make sometimes very tough decisions. And whoever is against him, probably has a problem at the team.
Dirk, I've got to ask you, obviously, your former side, Liverpool, their rivals, Everton, unfortunately got hit with that 10-point deduction. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, was it a bit harsh? Was it the right decision? And what are your thoughts in general on point deductions?
Well, it's for me difficult to judge it. If it's the right decision. But for me, what's very surprising that something like the 10 points this deduction comes in the middle of the season. I think that's not right. You should make that decision at the beginning or at the end of this season.
Yeah, agreed.
And to give them that 10 points now, it's very hard. It's very I think frustrating for everyone. But also for the other teams, it's like a very strange feeling. So somewhere middle in the season, people make a decision and they have a 10-point deduction. I don't think that was the right thing to do.
Okay. Do you think a points deduction is better than a big fine for the club?
I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, you want to have fair play. You want to have a fair play competition. And when Everton have done things wrong in the past, of course, they have to have a sanction about that. But, in my opinion, to give 10 points deduction in the middle of the season, I don't think that's the right thing to do. They need to be fined, that's for sure. And if you give a deduction, you have to do it in the beginning of the season. And also, in the position where Everton is, they're struggling for a long time, to be back on the level where they were, like they were back in the days when I was playing. At 10 points is very hard to stay in the league, and they will have a hard time, I guess.
Okay. Dirk, thank you so much for coming on. A real pleasure. You look fantastic, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon in the not too distant future.
Thanks, Dirk.
Anytime. Have a good weekend.
Thanks,
and enjoy
man.
the match tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you.
You too. There you go. The wonderful Dirk Kuyt.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.